Hey, Rainy Joe here, and this is 1001 Reviews, a series where I plan on reviewing every single album from the 1001 Albums Listened to Before You Die book. And today we're looking at Buck Owens and the Buckaroos' 1965 album, I've Got a Tiger by the Tail. I'm going to drop the book. I've Got a Tiger by the Tail was released underneath the Capitol label, produced by Ken Nelson with art direction from uncredited Nationality USA, and a running time of 28 minutes and 19 seconds. Now, this is a country album with only 12 songs, meaning that over the course of 28 minutes, each song here doesn't even reach the 3-minute mark, except for one song, meaning these are very quick and snappy country songs and very old-timey in tone, given the fact that these did come out in the 60s. But if you don't like country, you probably won't like this album. I myself enjoy a little bit of country, however, quite a bit of it, especially today, misses the mark. But let's jump right in and see what I think. With the first track, the title track, I've Got a Tiger by the Tail. I mean, it's fun. It's kicking things off with a very fun, rockabilly classic. Very westerny. I do really enjoy that when he stops the instrumental and swings right into it. Oh, we got a bit of a solo here. That's actually really nice. This solo is fantastic. I can really dig in this. Great voice, too. Right back to the chorus. You know what? This is quite a banger for 2 minutes. The lyrics suggesting that he's sick, I believe. Fantastic song though. Great opener. 12 million streams for good reason. Just, quite a hoot and a holler. You know what I'm saying? This is a fun little ditty, and I'm going to give that one a 9 out of 10. It's a great opener, and if this is the tone that the rest of the album is going to have, then I could see this being a really enjoyable album, especially given the runtime. It doesn't overstay its welcome. Next we have another short track, 1 minute and 55 seconds, even shorter than the first, with Trouble in Me. Let's just jump in. Using trouble as a friendship metaphors, you know what I'm saying? You're always getting up to no good, that Buck Owens. Ooh, that's a very pretty instrumental kicking in here. Oh, and it gets even prettier. I'm really digging this song. A lot of this is mixed to the left. I'm gonna give that up to the just the period of which this recorded at. The production differences and equipment at the time being all mixed to the left is a bit of an oddity, but I mean, listen to anything from that time period and you're kind of gonna get that. But Trouble Me, another really fun little song, very simple. I mean, I'm enjoying the simplicity of the country music here, and I'll take any of this music over what you hear today on today's country stations and whatnot. This is honestly better. It's just, true blue-collar country. I'm going to give that one an 8. Next, we got Let the Sad Times Roll In. Rolling in. That's a nice opening. Ooh. The effects on the guitar here are very unique, especially the country. Knowing the background of this album, you can really see the influence that this album and style has. Very dreamy sort of guitar work. I almost feel like I'm in a sort of a dreamscape here. I'm sorry. Again, I'm gonna chalk it up to time period mixed with just the difference in equipment and whatnot. But the audio mixing here is just all off. I mean, it was here, and then as he was singing, it clearly just fluctuated to the middle channels. I don't know if this was recorded in mono, and now this is in stereo, and somewhere in the mix it got messed up. But it's very jarring, especially with headphones on. But again, that's just a side note. I'm not gonna put it too much against the actual music here, given the time period. Buck Owens has quite a nice voice, honestly. Comforting voice, comforting tone. I'm going to give that one a 7. It slows things down, doesn't have that upbeat attitude of the previous two, but still quite enjoyable. Next we got Wham Bam. Thank you, ma'am. Let's get in. Damn. Buck Owens a player. He's not in it for the marriage. Not gonna lie, I thought it was gonna take a different turn given the country style, but he ain't about that married life. Gotta respect a guy who puts it all out there right from the get-go. He's quite a cynical human being. This is a good song, bordering on novelty, however. A lot of humor in it. Alright, that was definitely quite a humor moment here. Did not expect it to take this sort of turn of, Buck Owens being a womanizer. However, still quite funny. I enjoyed it. Maybe a bit dated in some people's opinion. However, still, it's a novelty song, in my opinion, more than anything. It's just a fun little ditty. And I'm going to give it a 7. Next we got If You Fall Out of Love With Me, which, given Wham Bam's themes, you'd think, Buck Owens wouldn't care about that. But let's see what he has to say. Man, it's not a womanizer. Not a womanizer anymore. He went from singing about jumping from one woman to the next to just wanting to be loyal to one. There's a lot of atmosphere in this sort of music. That old-timey country carries a lot of atmosphere. Very, lonesome, depressive. I feel like I'm in the Wild West when I hear stuff like this. She can't control her dreams, dude. You can't really. I mean, you can't control a dream. Guy just wants to pretend for the end of time. I'm gonna give that one a 6. Slows things down. Personally, didn't dig it as much as the first 4 tracks. But going back to what I was saying, the atmosphere of the album at least is pretty consistent and feels quite almost lonesome and desolate. Something about country music back then just feels very lonesome. Maybe I've played too much Fallout New Vegas, and given that a lot of the country music in there fits the desolated atmosphere, but that's what this feels like. I feel like I am roaming a wasteland. So I don't know, maybe I'm a bit influenced here by my gaming choices, but I'm gonna give that one a 6, like I said. Next we got Fallen For You. Let's jump in. That opening there sounded very similar to I've Got a Tiger by the Tail. Let's see that again. The way he starts there is very similar. Oh, I really like that. This is a great song. Another instrumental. Buck Owens, I've noticed, likes to squeeze instrumentals in the halfway mark of all his songs. You get 2 verses, an instrumental, such as this one, and then verses. It's like the equivalent of a bass drop in the 60s. Buck Owens has the best bass drops, one could say. The Skrillex of his day. That was nice. I dug that one a lot. I'm going to give that an 8.5 out of 10. We're going to let the good times roll. Let's see if that's true, because we are having some good times here with this album, and let's see if they continue with this track. I like that. Nice twangy opening. having a good time with the love of his life. Oh, I'm loving this. Slowly becoming more and more of a country fan the more I hear this album. Buck Owens, underrated. He knows exactly when to pull back his band to let himself shine, which is always a welcome piece within the music here. Okay. I like that one. That was a lot of fun. Definitely let the good times roll there. More of, how I've been feeling so far, which is I'm digging the music, I'm digging the tones. The atmosphere is down, packed with this album. And on top of that, just the overall instrumentation and Buck Owens' vocals and almost like his charismatic personality really elevate this album so far. I'm going to give that one a 8. Next we got The Band Keeps Playing On. So far, I just want to note that every song we've listened to has been around 2 minutes on average. All right? Short, quick, brisk. The next one, however, is reaching 3 minutes. Getting a little bold there, Buck. So let's see if Mr. Owens here can pull it off. But I have faith in him. You're adding an extra minute here, Bucky boy. Slower song. I didn't expect a slower take. Thought he just left. Heartbroken. This man's just losing the woman he loves, I guess. What else is new for Mr. Owens apparently? The strings are really nice here. I really like that. See what I mean though with the whole, Skrillex of his day bass drops. That's essentially a bass drop. Country version. I don't know what that is, but that's nice. That like a shimmery string in the background there. A very subtle touch. Adds a lot of flavor. That's nice. Honestly, for 3 minutes and being a slow track, which so far, personally, not my favorite aspect of Owens is the slower music. This one's pretty great. I don't know, I just like the story being told here. I like how he delivers it. The stopping of the instruments when he says stop. The shimmering string arrangement at some moments here. The instrumental that takes over in the half section of this track where it goes more instrumental based as he takes a backseat once again, as Owen seems to. A lot of it comes together quite strongly in this one, so I'm going to give this an 8. Next we've got Streets of Laredo, a traditional song. Also reaching 3 minutes here. Hold up. Is that Owens singing there? We gotta back this up. Ready? This man can sing. Wow. Holy cow. That is... Oh, wow. That is a gorgeous voice. Why is he singing like that more on this album? Not that anything I've heard so far has been like less than average or anything. He's a great singer so far, but this deep like tenor voice is incredibly different. Wow. That is amazing. Oh, wow. This is also very nice. The guitar work here is quite pretty. He's really showing off his range with this track. Oh. There it is again. Wow. I know what I'm rating this track already. Everything about this one was amazing. I'm going to give this song a 10 without even hesitating. That is amazing. His vocal delivery throughout this track is just like the best, easily better than anything I've heard so far. I hope we hear more of that tenor, deep voice more in the next 3 songs that close out this album. But yeah, 10 out of 10. Going on the next track, Crying Time. See, this feels somewhat underwhelming after Streets of Laredo. This is still nice. This is written by Buck Owens, this one, not a traditional. is a much more bland track in my opinion. Maybe I've been hyped up from the last one so much, but it's not hitting the same. The production's also not as good as the last one. The production's been a little up and down throughout this album, but there is a certain production technique, things we're going to talk about after this album's done in my synopsis. But I'm going to give this 7. Next we got A Maiden's Prayer. So let's just jump into it. As per usual with country music though, you have that repetitive sort of structure in the background there with the guitar work and everything in the background, and the drum and the percussions all kind of having the exact same, instrumental throughout. Strings, however, great as always. Is there any lyrics to this? I don't think so. Instrumental only. Not sure how I feel about that. I guess the main focus here is the strings arrangement. It's nice. I mean, it sets the tone. Feels like this should have been in the middle of the album though, more like an interlude. Alright. Instrumental only track. Not bad. Showcases the strings especially a lot in this track. But the backing instrumentation here, quite repetitive, which you can kind of expect with country anyway, as it's not necessarily the main focus. Typically lyrics are the main focus of country music. But this time it was the strings, and the strings were pretty enjoyable for the most part, but I still would have preferred to have some lyrics over top of this, to be honest. I'm going to give this a 6.5. Finally, we are on the last track, Memphis, which is 2 minutes and 28 seconds, written by the legendary Chuck Berry. Let's get into it. Closing this thing out. An iconic song by Chuck. Not bad, but I'm going to be honest with you. I typically do not like covers in most of my music, personally. I'd rather listen to the original. And if the original is better and the cover isn't doing anything that unique, I typically don't enjoy it that much. So this song here, this cover, in my opinion, so far, doesn't offer up anything too unique to make it justifiable. Maybe it was just put in to pad out time for the album to make it 28 minutes long. I don't know. But I just want to note that if it's not better than the original, or at least isn't doing anything too unique, then it's essentially useless. It's still nice, though. Memphis, closing things out. Not bad. Again, I said what I had to say about this already. The cover doesn't justify its place necessarily, given the fact that if it's not as good as the original, if it's not as unique as the original, if it doesn't justify its place, then why bother? Maybe to pad out time. I don't know. But that does it for this album's listening portion. So, overall thoughts? This is quite a solid country album, and quite a significant country album, given the fact that this is a milestone in the Bakersfield country subgenre of country, which I've done some research on, and knowing how important the influences of this album were on the future of country music and rockabilly music, it's kind of hard to dismiss it as something, forgettable or something like that, as if it's not important in the grand scheme of things. Buck Owens, with this album, brought in a lot of the rock and roll styles and influences into the country scene and really blended them together to show that country and rock can come together and create a very unique sound, which is made noticeable with a lot of the sort of solos that this album kind of dives into, and the more, guitar-centric style that this album seems to be focused on. And there's a lot here to appreciate, even if, you don't care about the influence of the Bakersfield country style. You've got the opener, I've Got a Tiger by the Tail, which is fantastic. It's energetic and upbeat. You've got Let the Sad Times Roll On, slows things down. Wham Bam, a great novelty song. And of course you've got We're Gonna Let the Good Times Roll, which is super fun and upbeat, very catchy. Really shows the overall instrumentation and Buck Owens' sort of power dynamic. And on top of that, I have to mention here, Streets of Laredo, 3 minutes long, a traditional song, but Buck Owens really flexes his voice. I was amazed by how amazing Buck Owens' voice sounds on Streets of Laredo. So there are quite a few songs on this 12-song album that really justify its purpose in the book. And at only 28 minutes long, there's really no reason not to listen to this album. If you're going to listen to all the albums in here, this is a great country album. There isn't much to dismiss here, and I am quite a fan of everything I heard throughout this. Even the weakest songs here are like a 6 at worst, in my opinion. So overall, with all that being said, I have to say that this gets a soft rating of 7.6 out of 10, and a hard rating of 8. I'm giving this an 8 out of 10 overall, as I think this is quite a significant and important album for country music, and also just has quite a few fantastic tracks here. Streets of Laredo really is, in my opinion, the standout track here, and the worst track would probably have to be If You Fall Out of Love With Me. Maybe if I had to pick one, that'd be the worst. So yeah, 7.6 soft rating, 8 out of 10 hard rating, and it gets an E for essential. Definitely a essential listen in the 1001 Albums to Listen To Before You Die book. Anyways, that pretty much does it for the review. Let's see what the next album we're listening to is in the 1001 Albums to Listen To Before You Die book. Random number generator. 1 to 1001. Generate 727, which will be the album. 727 being the album Little Earthquakes by Tori Amos. Not familiar with her work, but I have heard of her. So that will be the next album we listen to in the 1001 Albums to Listen To Before You Die book. And as always, if you like this video, please hit like and subscribe if you want to follow along and listen to every single album from the 1001 Albums to Listen To Before You Die book. And as always, my name is Randy Joe, and I'm signing off.